Oh, we got Mr. LaTurner.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you to our witnesses for being here today as we discuss the ongoing border crisis. The invasion at our southern border didn't happen by accident. During the 2020 presidential campaign, then candidate Joe Biden promised to protect sanctuary cities from federal law enforcement, pledged to halt deportations, and encouraged millions of asylum seekers to surge to the southern border. It didn't take long for the president to make good on these open border promises. In his first 100 days of his administration, President Biden took over 94 executive actions to reverse Trump-era immigration policies and undermine America's border security. The Biden White House ended Remain in Mexico, halted construction of the border wall, and did away with Title 42 expulsions. These disastrous policies have turned every state into a border state. President Biden's sanctuary city policies and catch-and-release practices complicate the efforts of Border Patrol, ICE, and local law enforcement to keep our streets safe and protect our communities. This unprecedented level of illegal immigration is redirecting essential resources away from their critical role in crime prevention, costing taxpayers billions of dollars and leaving our communities more vulnerable. The unchecked flow of illegal immigrants across our southern border not only undermine our law, but also opens the door for bad actors to enter the country undetected. Under President Biden, more than 600,000 illegal immigrants with criminal records or pending criminal charges have been released into the United States. Our communities now face an increased threat from drug smugglers, human traffickers, and violent criminals who exploit our weakened southern border, each crime being entirely preventable. We are now confronting a full-blown public safety crisis, one that stretches far beyond the border states and impacts the entire nation. This administration's actions, or lack thereof, sends a message that our laws can be blatantly ignored and violations will go unpunished. For far too long, Secretary Mayorkas and the entire Biden administration have refused to enforce our nation's immigration laws and turned their backs on the victims of this worsening crisis. It's unacceptable, and this committee must hold them accountable. Sheriff Chapman, thank you for being here today. My district is not located on the southern border, yet I still hear from my constituents in Kansas every single day who are impacted by this administration's open border policies. Would you agree that the implications of the border crisis are widespread, affecting not just the border communities, but also towns and cities across the entire nation?
Absolutely, and as I said in my opening comments, probably the biggest reflection of that is the overdose deaths that we're seeing throughout the country here. Over the last several years now, they've exceeded 100,000, and with the vast majority of those being fentanyl. So when you're talking about an impact, that definitely is an impact, and it's killing so many people throughout our country.
As a sheriff of a non-border state, could you discuss the specific challenges that you as chief law enforcement officer remain vigilant to guard against in light of the administration's border policies?
Well, fortunately, as an elected official, I have the ability, as I mentioned earlier, to contact ICE when we have people that need to go to ICE that are being detained. But we are concerned about an increase, and certainly with MS-13 and 18th Street gang members coming in as a result of this. We did have a problem several years ago with gang members. We are concerned that that's going to reignite itself here as this problem continues.
I'd like to stick with you, but shift our discussion to the topic of sanctuary jurisdictions, which limit the ability of ICE to fully enforce immigration laws, as you know well. In your opinion, how do sanctuary jurisdictions affect public safety?
I think sanctuary jurisdictions are extremely detrimental to public safety because it allows people that shouldn't be here in locations where they shouldn't be, and allows them to basically commit crime. Fortunately, we're not one of those, but I do believe some of our surrounding locations are, and I just think it poses an enormous danger to the citizens of those areas.
Describe how important you think it is for local jurisdictions to work with federal government to enforce U.S. immigration law.
Extremely important. I'm retired from the Drug Enforcement Administration as a special agent. I have very good relationships with all of our federal counterparts here, and I think for the most part, everybody wants to do the right thing. Unfortunately, political agendas get in the way of that often, but as far as we go, it's very important for us to constantly work, notify other people and other agencies of what's going on so that we can address these issues promptly and keep our citizens safe.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.